Hi guys, I'm Noam.
And I'm Justin. We've been comparing Forex brokers for over a decade, and we've been looking to the latest when it comes to Forex and CFD trends.
In this video, we're going to review Pepperstone, who we regard as probably the best Forex broker in the world in 2026. But before we get into it, Justin, we've obviously been reviewing brokers for a long time now. I think we're into our 11th or 12th year of running this business. We've been working with Pepperstone for a long time. Before we get into the review, do you want to just give everyone back home a bit of background as to how we set out these reviews and what we look at specifically when we analyze a broker and give them a good score?
Sure. So it's a weighted elements that we look at when it comes to the criteria. And we're going to do this in a similar order. But first of all, the broker needs to be regulated, trusted. We really do focus on only regulated, trusted brokers because there are scams out there, and they're always from brokers that don't have T1 regulation and are lesser known. The second part is the fees. So brokerage is key. Obviously, when it comes to trading CFDs and Forex, you're going to be trading more often, whether that's through scalping, whether that's copy trading, or just day-to-day trades versus something like shares where you may hold your positions for a longer period. So fees is definitely the second part. The third part's a trading platform. So you want to be using, if you're going to be a day-to-day using the platform, you want to make sure it's easy to use, has the functionality you need. And then you want to know, are you going to trade on desktop, mobile? Are you going to iPhone? Are you going to need to download the app? These types of factors that will be. So they're kind of the gist of the most important. We have a lot of other factors on our website and on our Pepperstone review page, such as the funding, customer support, all these things. But those really are the core factors that we compare to decide who the best platforms are and Forex brokers each year based on their merits. And
just by way of background, we obviously don't look at every single category, but in our methodology section on our website, we look at, 15 or 20 different data points? How many data points is it that we look at to review each broker?
You're exactly right. I mean, the key thing is it's hard to say data sets because something like trust, we say regulation, reviews, and the popularity. So, so there's three kind of elements within that element. That's how and then when it comes to something like fees, again, it's not just about spreads. We'll also factor in the commission rates. We'll factor in, is there a withdrawal fee? Is there a funding fee? What's the overnight holding costs? All these kind of elements. So there's many, many factors. We have our scoring spreadsheet, but that spreadsheet, it's one spreadsheet, but then we have tabs for all the different criteria, and then we rating. So it's a lot of factors that we put a lot of time and effort over November and December to decide the 2026 winners and what each broker's score are. And we use our own data, and then we ask the brokers to submit that data. And then we'll look at third-party factors that say, such as Trustpilot, and look at what the average trader is rating for that broker as well. Okay,
so that obviously gives everyone a general consensus. We have given Pepperstone this year a whopping score of 98 out of 100, which is the highest score we've handed out to any broker in 2026. We're going to look at a couple of different categories. We obviously can't go over all of them, but we'll go over some of the main categories that we looked at, and you can actually see these categories and these modules on our rating module on our website. The first category that I want you to touch on for everybody back home is trading costs. Pepperstone got a score of 8.5 out of 10 for trading costs. What do we like about them, but where did they lose points?
Yeah, so their spreads, whether it's standard account or Aurora account, was in the top 20th percentile. So across all, we looked at the 8 most traded currency pairs to do that comparison. But then we looked at things such as their share CFDs, cryptocurrencies, indices, all these several elements, and just this really wide range of markets that they offer and then the actual fees that they charge was some of the lowest. When we look at the commission rates, it depends on your base currency, but in the UK for the pound, they certainly have one of the lowest commission rates of any broker. We actually name them in that commission section. It just depends on the base currency that they offer. And then they don't have the hidden fees, like they don't have a fee for funding, they don't have a fee for withdrawing, and then their overnight fees are more than fair. And then when you look at some of their other products, so they also have a spread betting division only for UK traders. Again, their spreads were the lowest of any of the 16 brokers that we compared. So they clearly have a very high market share. They understand that traders care about trading costs, and they're really focused on keeping those as low as possible.
Okay. The next category we looked at was Trust, and they scored a 9 out of 10 for Trust. What do we like about Pepperstone when it comes to Trust?
Why don't we just flip it and say, what don't we like? Okay, they're not regulated in the USA. They can't onboard US traders, and they're also not regulated in Canada. So that was the reason why they don't have a perfect score. In pretty much every other major T1 regulator, they are regulated. So they've got a BaFin license in Germany. They got a CySec license in Cyprus. They got a FCA regulator in the UK. Here in Australia, ASIC. They've got MES regulation in Singapore. In Dubai, they got DFSA. You're enjoying watching me.
I'm enjoying you ramble off all this.
He's enjoying, but I'm just saying,
all these regulator acronyms.
You got to appreciate, very few brokers will bother to get that level of regulation, and it just shows that Pepperstone really does want to establish in these core markets that it operates in. It doesn't just want to be an offshore broker with a T3 regulation in an unknown area, and that means that it has to pass a lot of tests, such as the trading levels. It needs to segregate clients' funds, etc., etc. So they've gone, invest a lot of time and money into these elements. When it comes to trust, we also look at things like Trustpilot. So again, one of the highest scores, almost a perfect 5 out of 5 when it comes to Trustpilot, and a lot of reviews. So it's not like it's just a handful of reviews. It's I think it's the 4th most reviewed broker of them all, with a really high average score. And then it's just a really well-known broker. I mean, we look at the popularity. Believe it or not, the most popular, most searches are made in Brazil, and that's followed by Australia, the UK, for example, Singapore. So they've got really strong presence in the core markets that they operate. So it's pretty hard not to give them a perfect score. Again, we didn't, because they aren't present in the US, but if they were, they'd definitely get a perfect 10 out of 10.
Okay, the next category we looked at was trading platforms. They scored a perfect score here, 10 out of 10. What do we like about Pepperstone and the trading platforms that they offer traders?
So there's 4 major trading platforms that brokers can offer, and they offer all 4. So there's MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader 5, CTrader, TradingView. They were actually one of the first brokers in the world to offer TradingView, when they have advanced features to help with charting and functionality with that one. So already that's pretty much perfection. I love these 4 trading platforms, especially TradingView. And the reason why is that if you decide down the track that you don't want to be with Pepperstone and you want to move to another broker, most of the other brokers will offer some of these platforms. So what it means is that you're not stuck with the one broker for the rest of your life. There is some flexibility if you choose so. Now, Pepperstone does get a perfect score because on top of these 4, they actually introduced their own trading platform just over a year ago. And I believe that they offer this their own platform because they felt that these 4 were really solid on a desktop device, but on a mobile device, such as if you're on an Android and you download from the Android App Store, it's a bit clunky. Whereas the Pepperstone app is seamless. I must say, to open an account, start trading, watch positions, put something like a stop loss. All this functionality is just easier using the Pepperstone app. And Noam, you've used it on your iPhone. How have you found it?
honestly, out of all the other like apps and platforms that we use with some of the other brokers, I found Pepperstone to be really easy to use, really easy to set up, really easy to get onboarded. Yeah, I really can't fault their iPhone app.
I think the watch list, just the fact that you can just press a button, see your positions, and close it, like literally. So that to me, in itself, like there has been someone like Interactive Brokers. They just did an upgrade just recently, thank goodness, and they've got similar functionality for something like shares. But Pepperstone's got it across all the markets that it offers. So it just makes it easy to make a trade. Put a bit of extra features, as I said, like a stop loss, etc., and then to monitor those positions. Really straightforward. So that's why I got a perfect score for trading platform.
Okay, we'll look at one other category because otherwise this video will go on for another 10 or 15 minutes. And that score was 9.5 out of 10 for range of markets. What do we like about the range of markets that Pepperstone offers?
God, it's getting close to a 10 now because so Pepperstone in last year just introduced cryptocurrency. So they've always offered cryptocurrency as CFDs in markets that allow it. So again, if you're in the FCA, for example, cryptocurrency CFD trading is not an allowed product, but in most other markets it is. They just introduced their own cryptocurrency exchange, so that's a very exciting news that they offer.
That's hot off the press.
Hot off the press, exactly. But when it comes to Forex, they offer the majors, the minors, and the exotics. So pretty much you name a currency pair, they offer it. You name a instrument such as some of the more niche shares, they offer that as trading as a CFD. They offer all the commodities and just that range of markets. Clearly, they've nailed. Why isn't it 10 out of 10? They don't offer share trading. So, and to be honest, there's very few brokers that offer it. And you may say, well, I might want to go for IG because they offer me a share trading account and a CFD account. Just wait a second. It may sound logical, but in fact, that's two separate trading platforms. You can't just switch from shares to CFDs in the same environment. Regulators do not allow that to occur. So it's really important to understand that really it may sound great to have an all-in-one broker when it comes to these elements, but there are separate trading platforms due to the regulators that they work within. So it may be, there's only really one 10 out of 10 when it comes to this, and that's Interactive Brokers, which do excel on their range of markets, but they have downsides on other elements. But 9 out of 10, pretty much as good as you can get when it comes to this CFD, Forex trading, and they also offer spread betting in the UK.
Okay, so let's just summarize all this for everybody back home. Pepperstone scored a whopping 98 out of 100 overall in 2026, and they are regarded as our best Forex broker in the world for 2026. We looked at trading costs and gave them a score of 8.5 out of 10. We looked at trust and gave them a score of 9 out of 10. We looked at range of markets and gave them 9.5 out of 10 and gave them a 10 out of 10 for trading platforms. In one sentence, just to sum up, what do you like about Pepperstone and why would you recommend them to traders in 2026?
Look, it's an absolute broker you can trust that really excels in the areas that they offer. So again, they don't offer trading in the US, in North America, but outside of that, in areas like the UK, in Singapore, in Australia, in all these core markets, they bother to get Tier 1 regulation in that area. They focus on keeping fees low, and they offer the best trading platforms and fantastic customer service. I can't tell you enough that it's a pleasure to have live chat conversations when you're not in a waiting queue and when the person that you're talking to clearly understands the platforms and most likely trades themselves.
Alrighty, guys, there you have it. Our review of Pepperstone for 2026. Justin, thanks so much. Guys, if there are any other companies you'd like us to review, please let us know in the comment section down below. I think we've now reviewed about 45 or 50 brokers, but of course there are brokers popping up all over the place. So if there's a broker you've seen, you're not really sure whether to trust them, put a comment in the comment section down below, and we'd be happy to create a review for you in 2026. Please don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.
Thank you.